Go. Déjà, ils vont nous remettre le trailer, j'imagine, au début. Salut YouTube, on est parti pour du coup réagir à ce petit live de Guild Wars 2 sur la découverte de la forêt des Kobolds. Évidemment, ils nous remettent le trailer. Let's go, nous sommes en live. C'est parti. Donc ça, on avait déjà vu. Je sais pas si vous avez vu sur Twitter, passé sur Twitter, mais ça, on avait déjà vu, hein, les gars. C'est grave beau. Ça va le son? C'est assez fort? Vous m'entendez bien par-dessus? Ok, let's go, c'est maintenant, let's go. Ils vont sûrement nous parler du lore avant de nous montrer des images.
Hi Tyria, happy Friday and welcome to Guild Chat.
J'aime trop le t-shirt, il faut que je l'achète.
And for those of you in the audience who thought my tattoos were all gone, you are mistaken. I am very slowly getting rid of them, but they are really hanging in there. Extra Life last weekend was super interesting, thanks to all of you who participated. So we are loving the reactions that we've seen from all of you to our Echovald Wilds video that we shared with you earlier this week, and it's got us really excited to show you even more in our Echovald Wilds map tour today. Two quick things before we get started and jump in. This is a work in progress. We're taking you behind the scenes into a development environment with us. So you're going to see some things that look like a work in progress, maybe some.
Ah ouais, ça c'est comme à chaque fois qu'ils nous montrent des nouveaux trucs, il y a peut-être des icônes qui sont encore mal foutues et tout, mais c'est normal.
So we've hidden a lot from you to let you discover it in February once End of Dragons launches. So if things look a little bit quiet here and there, maybe look a little bit empty, it's because we have shoved them all under a blanket, so you can't see them quite yet.
Ouais, ils nous ont caché des trucs pour pas tout nous spoil, quoi. Let's go.
Two developer guests, starting with Morgan. Hi.
Hello! Thank you for that lovely introduction, Ruby. I am Morgan Lockhart, and I am a senior writer here at ArenaNet, and I am the writer on Echovald Wilds.
Thank you. Kirk.
Hello. I'm Kirk Williford. I am a senior game designer at ArenaNet, and I am a
game designer.
Awesome. All right, so where are we starting today?
Sure. So we are actually starting in an area of Echovald Wilds called Lake Lockhart. This is an area that is reminiscent of a certain name from Guild Wars 1, that is House Lockhart of the Kurziks. You'll see it's a very, very tall, very, big forest. It's just a ton of vines, lots of verticality here. It's a beautiful space. And we're starting here because we're going to take a tour on our skiff here. We're going to go into our first location that we're looking at from Lake Lockhart.
It is so beautiful.
It really is, yeah. Especially that shot of underwater there. So what we're doing is, in these forests, there's these big tree trunks, and some of them have some stuff in it that you can discover. This particular one is a giant tree trunk that just so happens to have a big village in it called Mori Village. And on
voit pas les events à droite. On les entend, mais on les voit pas. Comment il s'appelle le Tengu là?
The Tengu in here.
Wait, you're stuck.
Oh, I'm stuck. Development environment.
You know what? While you're trying to get out of your skiff, I am going to mention there are a.
Comment il s'appelle le Tengu là?
That is not a hint at playable Tengu. Playable Tengu are not a thing in End of Dragons.
Ah, on ne pourra pas jouer les Tengu, genre.
Why there are so many here? So Morgan can address that.
Yes, thank you, Ruby. Anybody who's familiar with the story of Tengu in Guild Wars knows that they used to live in many parts of Kantha, in Kaining, in Xingjie, and then unfortunately, when the Ministry of Purity took power, they drove them out along with the rest of the other non-humans from the area. Many Tengu fled Kantha completely. We've met some of them in the Domain of the Winds, in the Auric Basin. However, some of them did manage to stay in Kantha. A group known as the Kestrels led other Tengu to Echovald and taught them how to blend in with their environment, how to live off the land, and to evade the Ministry of Purity's forces. And so there have remained Tengu in Kantha. And when the Ministry of Purity fell, those Tengu were able to step out of hiding and establish Mori Village, which is their largest permanent settlement in Echovald. Some of them went other places. There's going to be Tengu in other parts of Kantha as well, but those who just were really excited to live in Eckewald and stay in Eckewald, decided to stay and found Mori Village. But they remain pretty distrustful of outsiders. They've obviously had a lot of bad experiences, and so they don't immediately welcome the player with open arms. They're not aggressive, but they're distrustful, which you can kind of understand why they would be.
Sure.
Totally.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about Mori Village, you know, and the Tengu in Eckewald and the Tengu in Kantha in general is the art team has done an incredible job of developing a unique look for them that is different than the Tengu in the rest of Tyria, right? In this area alone, right, the Tengu here have their own sense of architecture, their own style that really makes it feel unique to Kantha.
Yeah.
And in doing so as well, you know, some of the Tengu themselves look different, right? They're not going to be the same looking Tengu as you'll see in the rest of Tyria. Like we got this lovely, curious youngster here, right?
I love him.
Yeah,
so
like,
fluffy.
does this look like the face of MERCI to you?
This does look like the face of MERCI.
Ils ont vraiment fait ça. What the fuck?
I'm not supposed to have favorites. He's my favorite.
Do you? Yeah, I was like, I am shameless about this.
Oh, yes.
So, you know, Mori Village and Guild Wars 2 in Eckewald Wilds is one of our renown hearts for the map. And in this one, you know, something you're doing as you're exploring the area is trying to earn the trust of the Kestrels and the Tengu that are here. Because, you know, they know you're an outsider. You know, why are you here? Like, why are you doing what you're doing here? Why are you messing with these curious youngsters who look like they're going to just, you know, wreck your day? And at the same time, they're interested in you, right? Like, they don't see you innately as a threat, but they're suspicious. So you do what you can to really establish yourself and say, hey, I am not a threat to you, right? Like, we're here for a specific purpose. And, you know, you're able to discover kind of some of the history there and learn about the Tengu, learn about what's happening in Mori Village. You know, all kinds of fun stuff with that as you explore the area. Like, here's a wonderful another new Tengu look that we've got.
They all look so good.
Yeah, they really do. Should we start heading north?
Yeah, let's see what else is here.
See some more of Eckewald.
All right, so I'm going to hop on
Morgan and I could just yell about the fluffy Tengu
Yes.
some more.
just park in front of the fluffy Tengu for an hour.
The Tengu. Yeah, so I'm going to hop on my awesome Canthan Raptor here and head off
See
to
what
the
else
north.
we have.
Yeah.
So where are we heading now?
We're going to head into a little bit more of the wild part of the Eckewald Wilds. We'll start immediately coming across some angry folks.
Oh, la guérilla!
Yeah.
Yep. Here we have one of our gang members. Our two primary antagonistic factions here in Eckewald are two gangs known as the Speakers and the Jade Brotherhood. And they are both opposed ideologically to each other and also vying for control of the same resources, of the same territory, and unfortunately causing a lot of problems for the villagers of Eckewald, extorting them for money, for food, for resources, and also villagers are constantly getting caught in the crossfires of their gang warfare and our collateral damage. And so the player is going to be helping the locals with these gang threats, you know, sort of undermining the schemes of these gangs and also protecting the locals from them.
For sure, and yeah, as Morgan was saying, right, like there's a lot of these gangs to deal with in this area, but there's also a lot of wildlife too, right? You got to remember that this is called Eckewald Wilds. There's a lot of, you know, different things to expect in this map compared to
Ce biome est incroyable, il est trop beau.
Which, you know, you might have seen a couple weeks ago, right? A lot of wildlife like the Kirin. These ones are not very happy with me right now, so I'm going to kind of keep my distance. But you know, the gangs in particular, right? That's a recurring group of enemies. Both of these.
Oh, ritualiste, j'ai vu.
Here's some more speakers.
C'est marqué ritualiste sur le mec.
Not very happy with me. They seem to like using these amazing
Lui là.
spirits. Which
speaker ritualiste.
Kirk, why is everyone here angry with you?
Listen, the game's like I said. Yeah, I'm an outsider. I don't belong.
Le raptor là, tu l'as quand tu précommandes l'extension.
Yeah,
tu as automatiquement ce
that is
raptor
something worth noting, you know, as we continue further north here, is when you get to Eckewald Wilds, you will have acquired, if you haven't yet, you know, your mount, your raptor and your Springer mounts. And so Eckewald Wilds is really a good map to take advantage of some of that. You know, I've mentioned it before, but the verticality of this map, you know, it really brings to life how tall and how grand this forest is. You know, and in doing so, you're able to explore and find some really cool discoverable things. Most of which we're not going to be showing for obvious reasons, very spoilery. But you know, you'll also come across, you know, villages scattered around the way. This is one that, you know, again, development environment. We don't want to spoil a bunch of stuff, so we did hide a lot of stuff. But there's so much content in this map to discover. But in this one, you know, each of these villages have their own sense of history, right? And some of the stuff that you will come across as you visit them and learn more about the people.
Yeah, because we don't just have Tengu out here. The Eckewald Wilds the Eckewald Forest in general was historically the home of the Kurziks. We have Kurzik descendants here, we have Luxon descendants here. The Kurziks do not own Ekevald anymore. The Ministry of Purity defeated the Great Houses and it hasn't returned to their ownership, but many of them feel a kinship to it as their historical home.
Ah ouais, il y aura pas les Kurzik et les Luxons.
For their own reasons. You know, I joke sometimes that it's our Alaska and that anybody who doesn't feel like they fit in with mainstream society for whatever reason, maybe they distrust the expansion of Jade tech. As you run around this map, you might notice there is not actually a lot of Jade tech here. And that's because a lot of people here don't trust it. And so that's one of the many reasons. Other people just kind of march to the beat of their own drum. You know, I was telling these guys the other day about one of my favorite little stories, which is this guy
non, moi, je vais jouer avec mon main, je pense.
He really loves snakes, and you are not allowed to own snakes as pets in Kaining. And so he's out here because if he didn't live out here, he'd have to release his 5 beautiful sons. He's not willing to do that. And so the map's just full of all these things. You know, there's people out here because of history, because of opinions, because of their own quirks, and there's just so many people to meet and get to know.
This seems like the in-game equivalent of I want to keep chickens in the city.
Oh yes. And
Donc là, ce qu'on voit, c'est la...
I will not confirm nor deny where the inspiration for this
Là, ce qu'on voit,
from, but fresh eggs are an amazing.
C'est la nouvelle spé de l'élème, hein, pour ceux qui sauraient pas.
That we have hidden a lot of things. Kirk sure did make a choice here to unhide part of it.
I sure did.
You doing okay down there?
Yeah, I mean, we'll thank goodness for dev commands. Yeah. Anyway, so this is one of the events that you'll come across in the Ekevald Wilds. As was mentioned before, these gangs, right? They mean business. They don't like you, but they also do not like each other. So you know, their goal here is to wrestle as much control of the Ekevald Wilds as they can, and the map is pretty much kind of centered around that conflict, right? And how the region is dealing with it. And so in this case, you know, we got
ok, donc les Jade Brotherhood, c'est les descendants des Luxons. Les Speakers, c'est les descendants des Kurzik.
That has been closed because it's under attack, right? Both of these two gangs are here trying to take control of it, and so we've got, you know, them fighting each other. We've got some friendly, you know, Ministry of Security folks here, and then here's me with my dev cheats, not dying and getting wrecked.
My dev cheat.
Hanging on that one last HP.
It's a very unique skill to be able to sit at just 1 HP for as long as I can.
It's Kirk's specialty, actually.
Absolutely,
it's a superpower.
My special move.
Yeah. So we will, at some point in the future, we will take you through that waypoint or through that portal, but can we take a peek at the Jade Statues because they are gorgeous?
Let's do that. I'm going to go invisible for a little bit so they don't, you know, continue to try to take my lunch.
Yeah.
But
and
know.
They have object permanence issues, so you are fine. But the map, all of the set pieces are so beautiful.
Il y a un portail là.
They really are. The art team for End of Dragons has done such an amazing job of creating just beautiful looking environments and, you know, props to go in them and fill them all out, right? Something that constantly blows me away every time I look at it is, you know, comparing Ekevald Wilds to a map like Xingje that we saw a couple weeks ago, right? These are two completely different biomes.
Yeah.
They look nothing like each other, and that is something that we want to do. It was important to us when we approached Kantha because they're very different regions, right? That's something that's really cool about Kantha, is it has so many different looking areas to it. But it presents a really interesting and unique challenge, not, you know, for the entire team, art, design, and everybody. So we want to make these areas look different, feel different, you know. And I'm really, really excited to really, you know, be able to share this with folks when they're able to explore it themselves.
Gosh, I can't wait.
C'est trop beau.
But you know, even within this map, there are different looking areas. There's an area. Is it further north?
It is. So I'm gonna, you know, continue on here. I'm gonna turn off my
self onward.
Yeah, I'm gonna go not be invisible at that point. You two have fun. We're gonna keep going here.
You guys fight each other. They're just
if they stop fighting each other, maybe they'd actually succeed in fighting.
Kaishi.
He's getting away.
So here we
Basin
are at the
discovered.
Kaishi Basin sector. Again, this, you know, something worth mentioning is we've purposefully hidden quite a bit of content that takes place in these maps to prevent spoilers. So, you know, one thing about Kinkai Basin and Mount Kinkaishi, or if anyone is familiar with it, it's a something from Guild Wars 1.
Ouais.
It's a region of Kantha that's right to the west, or I guess it's east. I'm good at directions. East-ish of the Ekevald Forest. It's a beautiful mountain range that borders the entire forest, and we wanted to have a little bit of that inside of Ekevald Wilds. So we another one of those villages, like Morgan was talking about, was Kinkai Village here. Yeah. So this is a beautiful location that, you know, Morgan, you want to talk about a little bit?
Oh, sure. Yeah, so this is a fishing village, and I think one of the things that's interesting to note about Kinkai is that both Tengu and human are here living side by side. all the peoples of Ekavald, even though they come from a lot of different backgrounds, they've put those differences aside, those historical differences. They have much bigger problems than each other. Everybody's just kind of trying to live their life. So you're going to find Tengu living together with Luxons and Kurziks, and there's going to be some people, you know, like that still have some of those historical grudges.
Il y avait une machine à sous là où j'ai rêvé.
They aren't, you know, as groups they're not each other.
J'ai vu une machine à sous là.
You know, they're generally all getting along because they have bigger problems. They have these gangs that are stealing all their lunch money, and their real money.
That's canon
They're
now.
very into the lunch money, I assure you. Yeah, you know, it's really exciting to be able to explore the history of the area, you know, and kind of what happened to the Kurziks and Luxons once the Ministry of Purity came in and took their lunch money. There's a lot of lunch money taking.
Yeah.
So
We're gonna need some kind of content about the lunch money being
Can
stolen.
you tell it's almost lunchtime?
Yeah, I think we're all
Okay,
hungry.
Curry's hungry. Move on.
Yeah, but you know, this is again just one of quite a few little outposts that you'll discover as you move around Ekavald Wilds. We're gonna take a detour around these very ominous-looking enemies because we're gonna head to Aspenwood Gulch. Which, you know, when we were...
So many familiar names.
It is a familiar name, yeah. This is another one that when we were kind of plotting out where we wanted to go with Ekavald and Guild Wars 2, you know...
Ils ont skip le mob là. Ils voulaient pas le montrer, genre.
That, you know, it was a Kurzik versus Luxon PvPvE, if you will, environment. Whereas if you were a Kurzik, you were defending an area...
Oh, le Fort Tremble-Forêt.
And their Siege Turtle Armada. And if you were not, if you were a Luxon, you are the one escorting those Siege Turtles in order to, you know,
Wow, le Fort Tremble-Forêt.
The Kurzik architecture that lay inside of that facility. I'm gonna go ahead and go invisible again because these are very ominous-looking creatures here.
Yeah, we're getting more and more Jade tech.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mentioned earlier that most people in Ekavald Wilds do not love Jade tech. However, the Jade Brotherhood are an exception. But unlike everybody else, the reason that they're out here with their Jade tech,
c'est la technologie de Jade.
Controversial, you know, maybe they were in Kaining, but they blew up a building allegedly.
Wow, c'est quoi ça?
It was never proven. But you know, they're just trying to get away from the Ministry of Security, you know, and conduct their experiments. So they've set up out here in Ekavald.
Oh là là, le Fort Tremble-Forêt.
This is their big, beautiful lab.
Mais il va y avoir un méta dedans, du
Well, we're
coup.
not gonna tell
Oh,
you
let's
today,
go.
but
It's probably fine.
it's probably fine. I'm sure they're just, I don't know.
Probably fine, you know. They would just they have it heavily reinforced and defended. You know, it's very fortified in this Jade Tech fortress for no reason. It's fine.
They're developing lunch money stealing tech.
Oh,
That is exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, technology.
Il y avait un camp à droite, un camp à gauche. Il y avait des endroits à capturer.
It's actually one of the
tellement
stuff
dur,
that
genre.
takes you around this area and what you can find inside of these areas. If you can manage to get in across all these very, very threatening-looking enemy groups here. It's an incredible experience. It's one of my favorite in the map. Every time we play test it, you know, the group comes away just like, oh man, that was so cool. I love that the architecture is reminiscent of it was, you know, in Guild Wars 1.
Oh là là.
I still have flashbacks to
Mais oui, moi aussi j'ai des flashbacks
or
là.
attacking this area.
Au milieu là, c'était trop dur, c'était un no man's land genre.
You know, allegiance to which
C'était trop dur genre.
Oh man.
Well, anyway.
Actually, I don't know if that was true.
We don't talk about it. Anyway,
Kirk just doesn't want to fight with me.
Yeah.
Well, I want to keep my lunch money. But you know, it's still very reminiscent. The paths are similar to what you would expect, but at the same time, they've been fortified and turned into the Cantha of New, right? The Jade Brothers have set up shop here, and they mean business. And so once you get inside, there's a lot of surprises to find in there, and it's just really, really fun and exciting every time.
Ah ouais, mais du coup c'est devenu une zone PvE quoi.
Location here.
C'est dommage quand
Speaking
même.
of Brotherhood and the Jade Brotherhood,
Hey.
shall we
Yeah.
head towards one of the things, another renowned heart in the area actually, is, you know, as Morgan was saying before about the gangs, they are set up shop here, right? And they don't like each other, they don't like you.
C'est trop beau.
But you, as the commander, you want to know more about them, right? What do they do? Why are they here doing what they're doing? What are their goals? And in doing so, you're able to actually go into a recon mission of yourself and infiltrate the outposts, the Jade Brotherhood headquarters. So we're going to take a look at that, actually. But in doing so, we have to get a disguise first, because if we just, you know, barge in there, it's going to be bad times for us.
Yeah, thankfully we have a Kestrel here to help us with that. So I mentioned those guys earlier. Those are the Kestrels. They they were founded in this effort to get people to Ekavald, to get the Tengu someplace safe, and then to teach everybody to stay here, to evade the Ministry, to blend in. And then, so once the Ministry of Purity fell, the Kestrels technically didn't have a purpose anymore, but they decided to persist on, and they've become the peacekeeping force of Ekavald. And they still remain very good at subterfuge, at stealth, and keeping their eyes open, and basically keeping a pulse on everything that happens in Ekavald. And so one of the ways they're able to help you is with some of their illusion magic, and they offer the player a feminine appearance, a masculine appearance, or also a non-binary appearance, because the Kestrels are an inclusive organization.
That's right.
I love it.
Yeah.
We're gonna go do this again. Development environment. This hammer I have here is incredibly close to my heart. It's one of my favorites. You know, so it is what it is.
I mean, you're not gonna lose it. You definitely know where it is.
Where else is the best place to hide a weapon? If it's hiding in plain sight, it's a clothing.
Concerns for your internal organs.
Yeah.
Not important. Who needs important, internal organs? This is our wonderful our door guard here. Again, one of those very threatening-looking jade guards, but they're at least for now on our side. Uh-oh. Someone saw through the disguise.
C'est trop beau les
So we're gonna
trucs
go
de
in
jade
here.
là.
I'm gonna go invisible real quickly, so I don't, get discovered before I'm able to show off some of this area to folks. But this is one of the most beautiful regions in this map, and I'm going to say that a lot, and I'm going to, just make it very clear. Our map artist, Justin, has done an amazing job bringing this map to life and just showing, blending the old and new, and the old and the old and the new, if you will, because there's the trees, there's the big forest, but there's also these beautiful architectural elements, that have been built into them. And then on top of that, there's elements of these where, the Jade Brotherhood have come in here and set up shop inside of this old cathedral-looking building, right?
Du coup, c'est les Luxons qui ont tout niqué en fait.
Areas that you might not have seen in Guild Wars 1, and so
les Luxons, ils ont tout niqué. Let's go.
And see kind of what you can do in here, and why are the gangs in here, and what exactly is happening in here. Because as you can see, there's a bunch of folks in here that have eyeballs over their head. They're watching my every movement. They're very suspicious about the fact that I have a hammer in my chest.
They're just trying to help
That's
you.
not normal. We have technology for that.
We do. They have technology for everything. They have Jade Tech ovens.
There's an oven.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes
What does
perfect
it do?
bread.
Il y a une
perfect
télé
crunchy
par
on
terre
the
là où je
outside,
rêve.
soft on the inside bread.
Il y avait une télé par terre là.
It's the promise of technology.
It's getting really close to lunchtime.
Il y avait une télé.
But yeah, right. Like I'm not going to go into too much detail of what exactly you can do in here. There's tons of stuff to explore. It really takes advantage of the verticality, all of the movement mechanics that you were able to do. Take my mounts and kind of just climb up and explore and see what's going on.
Yeah, the designer for this area had so much fun. There's just, the Jade Brotherhood are full of schemes, and you get to mess with all of them.
Yeah, for sure.
They're a scheming bunch.
We're gonna just kind of quickly
Il a dit un four.
sneak out of here before we get too much attention. They didn't see a thing. But if we did get caught, we'd have to deal with our lovely...
face the wrath.
Yeah, face the wrath. You wanna
After all, Kirk, the Jade Brotherhood has a zero-tolerance policy for corporate espionage.
Oh dear.
They are not welcoming to moss brains, tree squatters, or corporate hacks.
You are terrifyingly good at that.
What the fuck? Elle a fait le bruit
She's
du...
very
What?
firm, yet,
What?
But some kind of polite.
polite. She's very
Elle a
polite,
fait la
but
voix du robot?
don't get on her bad side.
Yeah.
What the
We're
fuck?
gonna speak with our Kestrel friend over here again to
What
lose
the
our
fuck?
disguise. All right.
So let's take a quick pause. We're going to meet one more of our dev guests. Stick around. We'll be right back. We have more of Ekavald Wilds to show you. Yay.
Oh, l'image est trop belle. Ah, c'est des images. Let's go. C'est tellement beau. Ça, on avait déjà vu, mais c'est trop beau. Putain, le fort tremble forêt. Aïe aïe aïe. Aïe 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 aïe. Mais cette image est trop belle. C'est quoi ça? On se croirait dans l'attaque des titans là. C'est une bonne question ça aussi. Wow. J'en profite. Pensez à lâcher un abonnement sur YouTube, les gars. Ceux qui sont sur le live, je parle.
Welcome back. We are going to continue our tour of Echovald Wilds, and I want to take a second and say thank you and welcome to Allie for joining us.
Hey guys, I'm Allie B. I'm a senior game designer here at ArenaNet, and I was responsible for a lot of the Echovald meta and various other events that you see here through Echovald Wilds.
All right, well, what do we got to see next?
So I think we are headed to the Kurzik Cemetery, Kirk, right?
That's right, yeah.
Aïe aïe aïe, la
And
maison de
then we
Twitter.
kind of like to talk about back in GW1, you had all of these people that you knew, and kind of with the time that happened between Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2, what happened to these people? Well, some of them have passed on and now have their descendants in the area, and so now you can kind of come visit tombstones that may have some recognizable names.
Yay!
Indeed. So yeah, one of the cool things about you know, this area, and
Il y avait
we were
marqué-
talking about it a bit earlier, is the
Il y avait marqué World Restructuring
the
Beta en haut à
history
droite,
here,
hein.
right? There's so much
Pourtant,
history,
ils nous
not
l'ont bien
just
mis
of
comme ça, hein.
What's in Guild Wars 2
Mais bon,
and
c'est
what
pas
you
grave.
discover there, and what has happened between, you know, when
Y a
you were
rien.
there in Guild Wars 1. But also what came after in Guild Wars 1 when the player character left Cantha, right? Before the Ministry of Purity came and conquered the Kurziks and the Luxons, what happened here, right? And something that, you know, we're able to tell those kinds of stories through elements in the map, and is one of these, you know, being the cemetery here.
Memorial
And I think
Twitter.
we see some familiar faces that, well, familiar faces in relative terms, familiar
Oh,
names that are on
Danica.
grave sites. I think that says Countess, doesn't it?
It does say Countess, so
She
yeah.
leveled up.
Super level up.
Very much so, yeah. So this is, you know, it's a small little addition here that tells a bit of a story that was really exciting, you know, working out some of the details here. Countess Danica Zuhelzer. You know, Danica Zuhelzer was a popular character in Guild Wars 1 when you were in Cantha, and she was one of the Kurzik members of House Zuhelzer, right? And it turns out over the course of time, you know, when the player character left Cantha, she became Countess of House Zuhelzer. And so you might be able to learn more about that. I might be able to read her gravestone here and learn more.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
You know,
well, and I think what's really important here too is we kind of wanted to write a love letter to those people who were familiar with Guild Wars 1, right? But then still with people who are like me who haven't played Guild Wars 1, I know I can hear the chat from here.
No, you're fine.
No, I can hear it. What do you mean? Go play that game. So we wanted to make sure that people who hadn't necessarily been someone who played a lot of Guild Wars 1 or knows a lot of the lore, that we have a lot of kind of winks and nods that you can look at and go, oh, hey, I wonder who that is. I wonder who they were before. And you can use our wiki or, you know, go play Guild Wars 1 and kind of enjoy where those names and those people came from. But one of the big pieces about House Zuhelzer and Echovald Wilds is we really wanted to make sure that when you were coming back to Cantha, it felt like you were coming back to Cantha and not just some completely new area. But I think there's also a lot to be said too in that regard.
Absolutely, right, yeah. Just as a quick reminder again, you know, this is a good place to remind folks that we are hiding a lot of content.
C'est un cimetière,
on
quoi.
the map, just because there's so many spoilers that could be found in here.
Yeah.
How much are you two, like, as we're running around, how much are you two, like, seeing the things that aren't being shown right now and just being like,
so
I can't
much.
wait?
Oh yeah,
Like, oh, that's not there.
giggling internally a lot. Yeah,
A lot of steeple fingers.
Yes,
A lot of
very
steeple
much
fingers.
so.
Yes, yes.
yeah.
But the other thing we have too is we have various people who are around this area, right? Like this is the cranky caretaker who's kind of grumpy about having to deal with the gangs and us and everything else.
Yeah, the cranky caretaker who just, you know, he's just kind of sitting here by a fire. He's not very happy about his job. He doesn't even have any kind of, you know, tent or anything. It's just like, poor guy. He has to deal with all this gang warfare going around, messing up his cemetery. It's all the stuff that's happening lately, you know? Has to deal with all these dang tourists that keep coming through.
That's an awesome segue. Thank you.
yeah.
Nice job.
c'est trop
So
beau.
another part of this area that we really are really excited to show you, and I mean really, is that House Zuhelzer is
House Zuhelzer,
in
ouais, la maison de
effect-
Zuhelzer.
is in effect is we're almost there, right?
Explorable.
Is explorable.
Yes, yeah. you know, if you're familiar with Guild Wars 1, if not, I encourage you to go play it. This is something from Guild Wars 1 that's dear to my heart. Well, that might have just revealed what side I'm on, I guess. But, you know, it is what it is at this point. You know, House Zuhelzer, it was the capital of the Kurziks, essentially, in Guild Wars 1.
Ouais.
You know, the Zuhelzers in general were the big prominent member of all of the Kurzik houses. And you're able to return to this area and see what has happened, right? In Guild Wars 2 and in Echovold Wilds here, it's been turned into a bit of an archaeological site. You know?
And it's kind of a tourist attraction now too, isn't it?
It sure is, yeah. So one of the fun things about House Zuhelzer and the Echovold Wilds in general is people, not just Tyrians, you know, the commander is here and any Tyrians that came with them. The people who live in Kantha outside of this region are aware of what's happening here, right? They know it's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And so a lot of times it becomes kind of a visiting tourist attraction.
J'avoue que je réagis pas trop là, en fait.
I can go to House Zuhelzer ruins and go see some of these, like, museum-like ancient artifacts and kind of have a tour, and then maybe just maybe we'll get a glimpse of the gangs kind of fighting each other, and that's really, really exciting as a tourist.
That's right,
and really dangerous.
And they're here for it though, like they want their lunch money taken.
Yeah.
It's exciting to them to have their lunch money taken. I mean,
guys
you
and
know,
your lunch money.
Some people really like their Echovold safaris.
I always brought from home. Jeez.
Yeah. So one thing I want to know that, you know, we've talked about the cool Jade Tech waypoint in here.
yes.
This is one of the small additions that the writing team did that I'm really happy about. Everything that the Zuhelzers do is blank Zuhelzer. That's just their thing. So instead of having House Zuhelzer waypoint, we went with waypoint Zuhelzer.
I love that so much. it's those little touches, and I laughed so hard when I saw it.
That's right. And same.
And it's those things, right, that we talk about. That's that kind of a love letter to our previous games. And I think that's so important for our fans too.
Absolutely, and that really, you know, is echoed in the fact that the characters that like we mentioned before, who live here, they are of Kurzik and Luxan descent, right?
Yeah, so you end up with characters who visually will represent that kind of heritage, which you see here.
Elle a des tatouages de Luxon, mais elle est habillée comme une Kurzik.
Historical Society steward.
Yeah.
She's of Kurzik heritage, you know, and the people who live here, yes, everyone is aware of what happened to those two, you know, groups of people earlier, centuries ago in Guild Wars universe. But they still recognize their heritage and they celebrate it, you know, and that's something that was really important to us when we were approaching building out this area. Just, you know, for the world building of, you know, aspects of it, but also for just being able to tell cool, unique stories and showcase those cultures, and, you know.
Well, and to our fans too, it will feel familiar rather than feeling completely different, which is super important.
Yeah,
one of the things here that you can do as part of an event is kind of look for various artifacts that the House Zuhelzer Historical Society, I guess would be the correct word, are looking for. And those can be found in various pieces of rubble where you're looking for keys. And sometimes those keys also lead to some nefarious creatures. These keys are used to look at the different barriers that we have in this game, or in this area, excuse me. And so you would go in and use the key to get through the barrier, because otherwise it's a no good, very bad time, right?
Yeah, it's you'll have a bad time if you try to mess with the relic without being able to break these wards, and that's, you know, the Kurzik relics that are left over in this area. You know, there's a lot to discover here. You know, not just in context of this particular event, but just what you can find and what that might lead to. You know, this particular event might lead to something that's really cool. I mean, it's really cool now. You know, the entire experience is really fun. One of our designers, Chloe, did an awesome job building out this area.
Absolutely.
You know, and just being able to tell some history here that's both old and new, right? There's some stuff for new folks, there's some stuff for
Oh, il y a un succès à faire.
Played it in the past.
On le voit en bas là.
But it doesn't feel foreign either way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think you're not the only one looking for those artifacts either. There's a potential to run into the gangs.
Yep,
who are looking. Who are also looking for ways to get those artifacts, and apparently your lunch money.
So we're just gonna sneak out of there before, you know, get too dangerous here.
So one of the great things about Guild Wars 2 now, as well, is in comparison to Guild Wars 1, you weren't able to really explore up. And here, with our verticality, you can look at things like flying buttresses, any of the Gothic architecture, like you can essentially explore the top of House Zuhelzer.
Yeah, that's one of those little things that when we first started plotting out this map and kind of exploring it, it really hit us, is like, whoa, this is kind of a new angle on things, literally, because we're up so high, because you couldn't do that in Guild Wars 1, right?
Ouais, sur Guild Wars 1, t'étais forcément à terre tout le temps, en fait. Et du coup, là, ça fait de la verticalité, mais vraiment, genre, dans le déplacement et tout, quoi. C'est magnifique, hein. Putain, la map est incroyable, hein. La map est trop belle, sa mère.
Just go crazy with and try to find new things hidden all over.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and we knew that was coming in, so there are probably plenty of things to be explored and discovered up in that upper canopy.
Yeah, like why is this path of wood here? It looks like there's some scaffolding here. What does it lead to? It is a mystery.
Spoiler.
Spoiler klaxon sound. So, something that, Ali, you
Le TP là en bas, on veut savoir!
Was that you helped work on the Eckewald meta.
I did. Yeah, we can absolutely talk a little bit
Eckewald
about the
meta?
So one of the things that we really wanted to make sure in Eckewald is that you get the feeling that these villagers, man, those two gangs are beating them up all of the time. They're extorting them, they're taking supplies, so they're just kind of living the best they can. And while the Speakers and the Jade Brotherhood are fighting each other, there is essentially a fuse that is lit to spark an all-out war between them. That's kind of the core of what our meta is. And during that time, the Kestrels, like Morgan mentioned earlier, are looking at this opportunity going, all right, the gangs are already hitting each other with as much desperation as they can. Why don't we go in and why don't we essentially destabilize both of them while they're busy with one another? And so the entire core of the meta is actually doing that. So you will visit various villages and you'll be sent on tasks with different members of the Kestrels in order to do so. And one of those tasks happens to be in the Ultra Mines. Again, probably a familiar name to you guys. And the mines are still around, although the amber inside is not as prevalent or not as valuable, I should say, to the people of Cantha as it once was in comparison to Jade that it is now.
Yeah, they definitely decided to take up Jade to their empire, so to speak, right?
Yeah, and that's reflected too in all of the statues we have and a lot of the other maps as well.
Yeah, so as Morgan was saying before, so these villages that are scattered all around the map, they are regions that have unique history to each of them, right? Some folks are. Some of the villages, excuse me, are more Luxon-sided, some are more Kurzak-sided. I'm going to go invisible.
Oh, no. Yeah, it was like they saw you.
Leave me alone, these guys speakers. But at the same time, right, something that was really cool to see, build up when you were working on this alley was seeing the entire thing really feel like a big war zone, right?
Yeah,
these
absolutely.
gangs are at each other's throats.
Yeah, well, and the desperation kind of like disseminates into chaos. So here we have you work with a Kestrel named Stas, who's actually human. One of the things that's really important and something we really wanted to touch on is not only are the Kestrels inclusive, which we try to do for all of our game, but they also aren't just Tengu, right? They involve descendants of Kurzaks, descendants of Luxons. So you kind of really work with a whole bunch of different people who have decided to become kind of the protectors and peacekeepers of Eckewald. And so with this particular event, you are helping Stas kind of bust up the Speaker supply line, as it were. So you are gathering their bomb supplies that they have stashed in this village to try and kind of circumvent what they've been trying to do.
Yeah, something that I'm really happy with these villages too is when this is all happening, and again, a lot of stuff has been hidden here because it is a very spoiler town. That's something that's cool about this map is that, it takes place a little bit later in the story. And so some
On veut voir la map!
Right?
Yeah.
Ouvre la carte!
The world reacts to what
Il le fera pas évidemment, mais.
Absolutely. Well, and you get more of a feeling of desperation the longer the meta goes on. So once you've, kind of finished up with all of those villages and their different things that you need to do, you kind of have this climactic moment that we won't be telling you about that you have to come explore yourself here in Eckewald. But please rest assuredly that that dev team and I worked real hard to make sure that that feels really good.
Yeah, and seeing the writing come together for these two, like Morgan has done an incredible job on working the characteristics of all these villages, right? You know, the villages who live here, call this particular area home. They react to things happening. You know, they understand that they have their own sense of personality, but they're also in the middle of an area adequately named the Echo Vault Wilds, and it is a very dangerous area.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and it's that moment, too, of like, I'm living here with my family, and this is going on. What can I do? And we kind of have the Kestrels there as the, like, we're here to help. And some of the villagers aren't really sure how that works. Like, are you actually here to help me? Am I going to have to pay you now? Like, that kind of interaction that you'll definitely see.
Yeah. So, you know, this is definitely, it is a meta event, so when I go in Viz here, I'm not going to have just one person trying to take my lunch. It's going to be...
No, it'll be all of them.
I'm going to be...
They are definitely programmed to take all of your lunch.
I am concerned for you now.
Yeah, I am too. But something that's really cool about this particular meta, you know, since the entire theme of this map is kind of focused on the gang war and what's happening and how everyone is reacting to that, right? You might have seen across the screen, it would say, you know, a so-and-so village is under attack. Right. That just is something that really doubles down and reinforces the chaos.
C'est chiant parce qu'on va se faire plus aggro, mais c'est stylé en vrai. C'est bien fait, quoi, on va dire.
The place I'm at, and so you're looking at your different, you know, your different squads and your different groups, and going, how do I have to split up? Like, how do we as a group have to split up to make sure that we can protect all of these villages that are all falling under combat at the same time or falling.
Bah on va mettre des tags, hein. Ça va être un régent de chaque. Ça va être le nouveau régent de chaque en fait.
Pick and choose which villages they go to in order to save.
Yeah, it's really cool too because it makes the entire thing feel global, right? You know, it's a map meta event that takes you around all of Echo Vault Wilds, you know. And so you're able to, you know, if you're doing the entire thing, you are able to also explore the map and learn the map as you're doing it. And it'll take you to areas that look completely different than one, as, you know, each of those areas have different kind of cultures and personalities and all that good stuff.
Well, and on top of that, there's also the what am I doing here during the meta? And that's certainly different depending on which gang has overtaken that village and which village it is.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And then it all concludes with an epic, you know...
Epic all-out...
Conclusion?
Conclusion.
An epic all-out climax that you will see when you come play our game.
Indeed. Yeah, it's awesome. I'm really excited. That first time that we play it on live, you know, I'm looking to see everyone's reactions.
Same.
We just did a playtest of it a few days ago, and it was, you know, just, it's always fun every time, and especially towards, you know, everything's starting to come together, the art's in, the audio's coming in, you know, it's voices coming
VFX.
in, you know, it's all coming together, and it's just, it's wonderful.
It's really awesome to be a game developer.
That sums it up well, yeah.
Especially when you get to see that finished product, when it goes from being like something I've written on a page to actually a finished product in game where fans get to enjoy that. That's always been really rewarding for me.
Now it's a game.
Yeah, now it's a thing that my friends can go play.
You guys, we are getting so close. We are in the home stretch.
I know.
It's really exciting.
It's crazy.
It's one of my favorite times, just as everything comes together and everyone starts, you know, like Ali was saying, starts, you know, feeling like it's a game, you know. This is a fun experience that everyone has put a ton of time into.
Well, and it's a lot of heart and soul from the entire dev team too, which is always super important. We definitely take our work here super seriously and want to make sure that like everything is kind of something our players would enjoy.
Yeah, we are, and we're just excited for you guys to get this into your hands. We are excited to bring it to you. So that is our show for today. That is
so Kirk, where are you heading?
Oh yeah. No.
But wait, there's more. I'm not going to go through the portal. In fact,
I looked over and was just like, no.
Kirk, what is that giant building that we're definitely not going to talk about?
It's a portal that goes somewhere, but it's been blocked off. You can see there's concrete behind it. You know, it's like bad things will happen if I go in there, maybe. And by bad things, I mean Ruby will come for my lunch. So, you know, we're just not going to go inside the portal now.
Did you have something happen to you where somebody took your lunch money, bro?
Or are you just hungry?
I'm just really hungry. You know, it is what it is.
You know what though? I want people to eventually see what's behind that portal.
I think that might happen eventually, right?
Yes.
We should, yeah. That sounds like a really good idea. You know, it's a really big entrance. It's really nice and grand.
Okay, you guys are mean.
I know. It's part of my job.
I wonder what could be in there. You know,
to tease, to be like, what is this? What's gonna happen? Who knows?
Yeah, like House of Heltzer's right there. You know, there's this.
You two behave yourselves.
Okay.
All right, so that is our Echo Vald Wilds map tour. Look what you guys have done to me.
I'm not sorry.
Honestly, do I look sorry at
all?
No. We know you guys are eager to see more. We have so much more of End of Dragons to show you coming up, starting with next week, November 19th, Friday, our Jade Sea map tour. We are going to take you into the Jade Sea a lot like this. We're going to hide a lot of things. Eventually, we're going to go through that portal. Kirk is just over there like smirking at this portal.
Yes, good.
Eventually we're going to go through that portal. Make sure you follow our channels so you don't miss any of the things that we have coming up. Next Friday's event is just the first of many. End of Dragons is launching in February of 2022. We are mid-November. Everybody, we're
man,
so
super
close.
Home stretch.
You can pre-purchase right now, though, to get some cool bonuses for your account that you can use in-game right now, including the Xing Jie Mosaic Cape, the Flame Serpent weapon chest, and the Prodigy of Xing Jie title, along with a lot of other goodies. So get that pre-purchase in. And speaking of pre-purchase, I have one more thing for you. If you haven't seen yet, we have partnered with DX Racer to bring you this awesome End of Dragons DX Racer gaming chair.
I definitely have pre-ordered that.
I am in love with it. Honestly,
it's awesome.
This is such a cool detail, and I know like the whole chair is amazing, but that massive embroidered End of Dragons logo on the back is incredible.
Absolutely. I'm so excited for that to get to my house.
I know.
Do you know when it's going to get to my house?
Yes. Wow, that was good.
I got you.
So you can pre-purchase this now. It is available for pre-purchase now until November 30th, until the end of this month, and it will come to you in early 2022.
Sweet.
Yeah. So that was our show today. Thank you all for joining us. Don't forget to come back next week, and we will take you around the Jade Sea.
Woo.
Thanks, everybody.
See you later, guys.
Thanks, everyone.